Hello and welcome to another edition of Rolling Illini. I am Joshua Joins, joined by Miles Hill and Avery Schaefer and Andrew Sclair with UPTV. As always, Rolling Illini is from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WPGU 107.1. But you can also catch it on our Bantam Public Television on Wednesday at 9 p.m. So check it out there if you enjoy the show and if you want to see our beautiful faces that you can't see while listening on the radio. Our listeners who listen often know, Miles and I were off the show last week because we were in Auburn for a wheelchair basketball tournament. Before we get to that, we want to point out that the International Paralympic Committee is going to make some decision on Russia very, very soon. There's a press conference that's actually beginning, of course, right after the show ends. So we'll be talking about that a lot next week, but it'll be interesting to see if they have done enough to be reinstated after not being reinstated before the last Paralympics. All right, but now to the tournament last weekend. The Illinois women's and men's wheelchair basketball teams took a 14-hour bus ride down to Auburn, Alabama. The men played in 3 games. The women also played in 3 games. So the men's first game was against the University of Edinburgh out of Pennsylvania. And it was a loss. It was kind of a surprising loss for the Illini. Yeah, it was one that the Illini wish they could have had, but they were missing one of their best players, Willie Ben Morachuk. He was still with Team Canada doing stuff and actually was traveling into Auburn. He flew directly into Auburn, and this was the only game he missed. The Illini lost 58-48. A lot of that had to do with fouling towards the end of the game. It was like a 4-point game when we started fouling. The leading scorers for the Illini was Noah Hotchkiss with 18, Gabe Dembrader with 10, Thomas Duffy with 8. And then the leading scorers for the Fighting Scots was Chase Wolf with 22 points, Jacob Spillers with 18, and Seamus McNally with 13. Honestly, this game came down to shooting percentages. If you look at it in the first half, the Fighting Scots shot 42.3%, and for the game shot 42%, 72% for the free throw line. The Illini shot 38% and actually had no free throws in the game. They also went 0 for 12 from the Illini went 0 for 12 from three-point land, whereas the Fighting Scots went 3 for 7. So that's really the difference in the ballgame was shooting percentage. Willie was really missed in that game a lot. The ball just would not fall. Miles and I were both there, and there were shots. It wasn't like we weren't getting the shots we were looking for. It was just they wouldn't fall.
Yeah, no, especially towards the end of the game. I took a nice quality fall towards the end.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there watching Coach Bushy on the sideline. It was just kind of like, man, he would see us take a shot, and he was content with the whole play, and it just wouldn't fall. And it's like frustrating, but
we were absolutely getting the looks we wanted to get. And I think part of that was Auburn wheelchair basketball plays in their old arena. And so it's a larger venue than a lot of us are used to. So getting used to the depth perception was difficult, but the rims were just very unforgiving as well.
I mean, we're gonna have days like that as well, but
did it feel like the rim had a lid?
Or it wasn't that bad, but
it was like a ceramic wrap that you could pop every once in a while, but then immediately came back on. Yeah, it was not very good. All right, and then so that was game 1. That was at like 9 a.m. We went back to the hotel, watched film, learned a lot from that game. We learned a great deal. Yeah, and it was a quick turnaround because we had to regroup. And at 7 p.m., the only game that the Auburn Tigers promoted was against us at 7 p.m. in their home. It was a pretty good crowd out there for that game, and not in our favor. And in that game, the Illini came out on top 49-44.
It was much closer than I thought it was going to be. Not that I thought it was going to be, just that as we came down the stretch, I think we were playing a lot slower than we wanted to,
Yeah.
And as I kept checking the score, I was like, man, this game is lingering. But it was a good win to wrap up.
I mean, we shot 33.9%, which is actually worse than it was in game one.
Yeah.
We shot slightly better from 3-point range. We were 2 for 14, which is like 14%. And then we had some free throws this game. Also not great, 5 for 16, 31%. Our leading scorer in that game, it was actually a really good mix. Willie came back and had 15 points to be our leading scorer, as well as 10 total rebounds and 4 assists to lead the Illini. But also Gabe Brader had 7, Thomas Duffy had 8, Noah Hotchkiss had 4, Johnny McNamara had 9, Kyle Jankowski had 6. So overall, the lid still wouldn't fall for us. Yeah. It was way closer than we were expecting it to be. The Illini leading scorers was Samuel Armis, a good friend of mine, with 13 points, Nick Ullman with 11 points, and Blake Lofton with 9 points. The thing about Auburn is they're a relatively new program, and 2 of those 3 people I just named are freshmen, so they're a team that's still learning, still up and coming. They're getting progressively better. It used to be a really easy win, and we really had to grind out this win. But once again, it came down to shooting.
Yeah.
The lid was still not open.
Yeah, to say the least. I remember Willie definitely saying, like, we won an ugly game, guys.
Yeah.
Neither of the teams were really shooting that well.
But, I mean, as we like to say, a win is a win. Whether it's an ugly win or a blowout win, a win is a win. And so that's what we needed to have there. What were your thoughts on the Auburn game, Miles?
Like I was saying, it felt like we were going at a slower pace. And then when we were just taking good looks that weren't falling. And I think the thing that won us the game was our defense, which Coach has been talking about all year, how our offense is great and our defense really needs to pick up. This was probably one of the first games of the year, but this is really the first tournament of the year where our offense was absolutely not there. And our defense really stepped up, which is really big to help us out and get that win there against Auburn. So
yeah, our defense has had struggles towards the beginning of the season. It's been really an emphasis for us. And so seeing that come together to get us a win in a game where we just could not shoot was great.
Yeah.
After the game, one thing that I really remember, though, is the Illini had one game on Sunday, was Willie looked at us like, guys, we can't have 3 bad shooting games in a row. And he was absolutely right about that. So
he was.
Saturday morning, we played the undefeated Alabama Crimson Tide, the defending national champs, about 2.5 hours away from Tuscaloosa, their home. And we gave them their first loss of the season.
Yep.
The final score.
That's an upset.
Yeah, the final score of that game was 70-53. So after not being able to break 50 points, we scored 70 points.
Yeah, I think. What did we have at halftime? We had like 42.
Yeah, we had like 42 points, and I was like, we're within 8 points of our score from the Edinburgh game.
Yeah.
Like our total score. The Illini in this game shot over 53%, 53.6% for the game, but they were 59.4% in the first half, which was really, really impressive. Came out
good.
blazing hot, was over 60% until almost the end of the first half.
Yeah.
They shot 37.5% from 3, which is really impressive.
Great, yeah.
3 for 8 and 63.6% from the free throw line. Made a big difference there. Our leading scorers was Willie Ben Morchuk, had 30 points, had what I like to call Russell Westbrook, a 30-point triple-double. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. For the Illini. The Illini had 9 turnovers, which could be improved upon a little bit, but overall was really, really good performance. Yeah. The leading scorer for the Crimson Tide was Michael Allprince, their big man, with 20 points, and DeQuell Robinson, DQ, with 14 points. No other player was in double digits for the Crimson Tide. For the Illini, Thomas Duffy had 12. Kyle Jankowski had 16. Kyle Jankowski had a great game.
Oh, it was wild to see Kyle just pull out the hat. The funniest part about it was the night before in the hotel. It was me, J Mac, and Kyle in the room, and Kyle was like, "I'm just ready to play Bama tomorrow." He said, "I'm going to post up some short class 1, and I'm going to score." And literally, first time he got the ball, posted up class
exactly
1,
what he
scored,
did.
and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a good one."
I think one thing the Illini did a really great job of is finding that mismatch, because Alabama plays 2 class 1s, which are the 2 lower class players, and so our bigs on the court did a really good job of finding them and exploiting that advantage that they had, which is why Kyle had 16 points in that game. It's kind of interesting because Alabama, being the defending national champions, has always been a good game for us. Even
Yeah.
last year when
Yeah.
we struggled at times, the games against Alabama were close. This year at the beginning of the season, we had a lead against Alabama at the half and then blew it.
Yeah.
So finally getting a win against Alabama was huge. I think it sets the tone for the season, a lot like the UTA win at the beginning of the season. That's 2 quality wins on our resume heading into the home stretch of the season. One thing that is to note is one of Alabama's good players, Ignacio Ortega, one of their bigs was out, I believe, with a concussion. It was not really told of us, but that was the rumor going around. So when he comes back, he's a difference maker for the Crimson Tide. It's going to be a little bit of a closer, tougher game.
Yeah.
But still a game I think we can pull out.
Yeah, most definitely.
But it was a great win. And as Coach said, as we got back at like 3 a.m. on Sunday from that in this cold, Coach was like, it's an odd to have your lowest of lows and your highest of highs in the same weekend. And that's what we did this weekend.
That was it. That really was it.
And then on the women's side, there were only 2 women's team at the tournament. It was the University of Alabama and us, and they played 3 games, and it fell to Alabama in all 3 games. Alabama plays kind of the same lineup their men's team does.
Plays, yeah.
It's 2 really, really big players, and then they use their lower class players to get them in.
Yep.
But unlike last year, the Illini women held their own.
Oh yeah, most definitely
Held their own in both of the 2 games that I got to watch. They held leads at various points in time.
It was near through 3 quarters where Illinois they were really still in there.
And then Alabama's height just got the best of them towards the end. But a lot of improvement for Coach Wheeler's team and the ladies. Then in the last game, Marley Wagstaff and Ali Ibanez just shot lights out.
Yeah.
They were leading scorers. I don't have those stats on me, but you could just tell they were really, really good.
Oh.
Which leads us to this, and we're going to talk about this coming back from break.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just going to leave this little tidbit in your ear. Next weekend is Illinois' first home tournament of the year.
Oh, yeah.
The first game is 6 p.m., which means Miles and I won't be here. On Friday at the Arc against the defending national champs, the team we beat last week, the University of Alabama Crimson Tide. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, see how we're preparing for that. But first, we want to let you know that today's show is brought to you by the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. Tomorrow, there's a women's gymnastics meet I'm planning to be at. There is a wrestling meet going on right now. So there's a lot of spring sports to get really excited about. Michigan State comes into town in men's basketball.
Tuesday, I'll be
there. Gotta be there.
It's going to be a big game for the Illini. So pack the State Farm Center. Get out, support your Illini. They are playing really, really well despite their record.
I was about to say, we have to give our men's team a huge shout out.
Beat Maryland.
It's Tuesday,
on the
right?
road.
Yeah.
On the road, win against Maryland. You can't have a team like that and not go watch them.
Io just went off.
Yeah. So get out there, support your really talented freshmen, your really talented basketball team, and all of the spring sports. Achievement is what we do here at the University of Illinois Division of Athletics. So go to fightingillini.com to get your tickets. We will be right back after this break on WPGU 107.1. Stay with us in the Rolling Illini.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the Rolling Illini on WPGU 107.1 and UPTV on Wednesday. We're back, and we kind of teased this at the beginning, but one of 2 home tournaments for the Illini is this weekend. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about it. So we'll start on the women's side since we started on the men's side about the recap for last week's tournament.
Yeah.
So all of the women's teams in the NWBA collegiate division will be here except for Arizona. So at noon on Friday, you can catch your Lady Illini in action against UT Arlington.
Oh, yeah.
UT Arlington is the #1 team in the country, led by 2 Paralympians. One is Team USA captain Rose Hollerman. The other one is a pretty regular starter on Team USA, Abby Duncan. So if you want to see some high-quality women's basketball, that is a good game to catch out. Then at 8 p.m., they get to play Alabama Crimson Tide for the 4th time in a week.
Yeah.
That'll be an evening game. I'm sure the environment will be crazy for that one. It's also important to note all these games are happening at the Arc, the place you should be working out at.
Not Cersei.
Yeah, not Cersei. The Arc, it's on Peabody?
Yeah, Peabody.
Yeah, Peabody Drive. If you don't know where it is, you should know where it is. So come out and support the Illini. Then on Saturday, the Illini women only have one game. It will be one of the most competitive games of the weekend for the women. It's 4 p.m. against the University of Wisconsin Whitewater Warhawks.
Oh, yeah.
It is a rivalry game. It gets heated. So everybody should come out and pack all 3 of those games
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
for us. And then on the men's side,
Oh, yeah.
down to
the nitty-gritty.
we have at 6 p.m. the rematch against the University of Alabama, the defending national champs, the team we beat last week.
Oh, yeah.
At the Arc, 6 p.m. It'll be on the far court. The environment for that should be crazy. Bring the noise. We want Alabama to know that this is a wheelchair basketball school and that this is where it all began. Come out and for that one. That is our only game on Friday. Then Saturday, February 9th at 10 a.m., we will play the SMSU Mustangs. They have 2 really good players on their team. That should be a good matchup.
Great athletes.
And then 6 p.m., it's the bragging rights game. It's the University of Missouri against us, Mizzou, and us are big rivals. I think the marching band will be the game. I cannot confirm that yet.
I'm not sure.
So get out there, pack that game. We want to hear you. We want you to be loud. We want Mizzou to be super distracted so we can get the dub against them. That was a good matchup at the beginning of the season at Whitewater in our first
To
tournament.
say the least.
Yeah,
It was an interesting one at the beginning of the year. But
so that should be all 3 of those games should be a really good matchup. It's a great weekend of wheelchair basketball.
oh, yeah.
If you come out, find us. We would love to talk to you. We'd love to find the listeners of our show.
Call me out. I'm the only guy
Yeah.
that wears his hair in a bun.
Yeah.
You can't miss me.
I'm number 21.
Well,
most
actually,
times.
I think Kyle does too, but,
Yeah.
can't mistake me for Kyle. He's like,
Kyle's blonde. Kyle was on the show earlier this year.
yeah, he was here earlier.
If you missed that one, go back and recatch on the website, WPGU1071.com.
Throwing the plugs in.
So what are you thinking for this weekend?
Men's and women's side, I think the women are going to do really well. I'm actually really, really impressed by the way the women are playing recently, especially these last 3 in Auburn. I know they dropped all 3, but they were playing really well, as you were saying before. I definitely suggest catching the Whitewater, Illinois game because it will be very good.
What do you think the difference has been for them?
I'm actually not sure. I think Marley has started to pick it up. I know she was struggling with Marley and Allie. I think Marley was struggling with injury, and she's kind of, I don't know. I don't think she's completely healed over it, but she's definitely, you can tell that it's definitely better.
Getting back.
It's not as aggravating for her. Allie, I think, is stepping into it. I think if she had a little bit of beginning season maybe jitters. I know I did myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's played on higher levels than collegiate, but at the same time, I think you're still a little it's something.
I think you're
new.
always nervous when you enter a new thing.
It's something new. So
I saw that too. The 2 freshmen, Allie and Marley, both from Utah, former teammates in high school, really coming into their own, and that's been huge for the Illini women.
I think so.
2 players to watch out for, and of course Emily Oberst and Erica Wilson. And I mean, there's a lot of players
That goes
to watch
without
out for.
saying, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes up.
So there's a lot of people to watch out for in the women's team that are improving every day. It's cool to see the work that they put in and that they're improving.
Yeah. And then on the men's side, man, I think we got some really good matchups. I honestly think that these 3 games are really pivotal for us. And I think it would be our first time going 3-0 at a tournament if we win all 3 of them this year, which would be a nice
You heard it here.
You heard it here first.
The bold statements.
Trying to speak it into existence.
3-0. I'm going to hold you to that now. I'm going to watch.
That Mizzou game is going to be super pivotal as Nationals are coming up in about a month and a half, about a month and a half.
Yeah, just about.
And so this could be a real pivotal point because on both the men's and the women's sides, we're home this weekend. We have the next weekend off. Then we're in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania for a tournament. We're in Canada for a tournament. We have a week off, and then Nationals are here.
Yeah. So what is that, like 4 tournaments in 6 weeks?
Yeah, 4 tournaments in 6 weeks. So we're really catching up here. But that Mizzou game is super important for rankings heading into Nationals.
Yes.
I mean, all these games are important, but that Mizzou game in particular.
I think so, especially because we dropped the first one to Mizzou.
Yep.
But I think really if we go 1-1 with them, it should really help us out.
And the crazy thing about the men's college division is anybody can win any game.
Oh, it's really, really crazy how that works. Too.
Yeah. So you got to bring your best game. There's nobody like, oh, well, that's going to be an easy win. Like you got to bring your A game every game, and it's why we play the games. It's exciting because you don't know who's going to win.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unlike the NBA, where they might as well not even play because we know it's going to be the Warriors and the.
Well, I hate to put my own 2 cents in here, but Celtics are taking the NBA Finals. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of that conversation.
Wow.
I disagree, but I digress. We move on.
I digress.
So that's on the wheelchair basketball front. I know Coach Bushy's really excited. Coach Wheeler is.
Yes.
They've all posted about it. If you haven't already, you should follow Illinois Wheelchair Basketball and Illinois Wheelchair Athletics on
Yes.
Facebook. That's where you can get the most up-to-date information. And also, we live stream the games that aren't at home.
So just in case you don't actually know where the Arc is and you still don't know where Peabody is, it's fine. You can still catch us on
You
Facebook.
can still catch us. And also, I don't know if they're still up there, but your boy was a commentator for 2 of the women's games.
Oh yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. One of them was with the Alabama PA announcer.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Tell us about that, man. I really wish I could have done that this weekend, but tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun. I'd never called a game before. I kind of fit right in. I thought, if there's a difference between calling radio and calling, in person. I overtalked in the first game a little bit, but in the second game, kind of fell into my own. It was really cool talking back and forth with somebody, learning a lot about the other program that I didn't know a lot about, and learning how they run different things, and then explaining to him, because he'd never played wheelchair basketball before, some of the technical things that Alabama was running.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good for the people who watch the show and the viewers to see kind of the things that they would miss if they didn't know anything about wheelchair basketball.
Now, let me ask you.
Yeah.
As someone who's commentated basketball games before, what I find is by the time I say something, the ball has moved.
I mean, yeah, I think one of the advantages, especially that second game, was True was his name. True would call the Alabama side when Alabama had the ball, and I would call it when Illinois had the ball. And I knew the tendencies of Illinois, so it was I could see where the ball was going, and I could see what play they were trying to run, and so it really helped me call the game.
Okay.
Occasionally things changed up, but pretty much they were trying to go with what worked. And that game, it was Marley and Allie's offside.
Yeah. Oh, that offside was
It was so pretty to
smooth.
watch.
It was smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, it kept the Illini in the game for a long time, so that was cool. I don't think we'll have any commentators for this game. I'm not even sure that they're going to be live streamed because we are at home. But the games in Edinburgh and certainly Nationals will be live streamed.
most definitely.
Nationals is really cool because it'll be at the State Farm Center
Oh yeah.
in mid-March, actually the weekend right before spring break.
Yeah. So don't leave too early.
So don't leave too early or else you'll miss us winning a national championship at home.
Yeah, he's talking in this.
Another
Speaking
bold
into existence.
statement.
I like it. I like it,
Got it
Josh.
into existence. So that'll start Thursday, Friday, Saturday. A lot of opportunities to interact with the athletes and to get to know us. It's going to be a family-like atmosphere.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
So we got to make it loud for that.
Bringing a lot of alumni in. It's gonna be an experience.
The 1969 wheelchair basketball team that won nationals at what was called the Assembly Center, but is now the State Farm Center,
Same building.
will be there, and so that'll be really cool. I'm really looking forward to talking to them.
Yeah.
The cool thing about here that we just don't get to talk about very much is the tradition.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so much tradition at the U of I in wheelchair athletics and specifically wheelchair basketball that you meet people every day that you're like, oh, you went to the U of I, like what year? And you're blown away by the stories they tell and like
Yeah.
how cutting edge the University of Illinois has been in disability rights and adaptive athletics.
Most definitely.
So that's something that it's not just games; it's a celebration of that. I think as well. All right, we ready to talk about track?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
All right.
talk it out.
So for track and field, it goes back to our tradition. We have a tradition of excellence both in basketball and wheelchair track and field.
Yeah.
And we have 6 track athletes that made Team USA for the Parapan Games. We told you in the episode 2 weeks ago that with Kevin that this is kind of the season when teams are selected for national teams so they can prepare for summer activities.
Yep.
So rugby and basketball happened at the beginning. National teams for track and field were just selected. And the 6 Illini that were selected included 3 women and 3 men, so a very diverse group. They include Josh George, Daniel Romacek, and Isaiah Rigo. On the women's side, it's Susanna Scaroni, Tatiana McFadden, and Amanda McGrory. On the women's side, it's a group that is very, very experienced in international competition.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Tatiana McFadden has been at the top of her game for years. If anybody knows anything about adaptive athletics, they probably know Tatiana McFadden.
Oh yeah. Most definitely.
I still get starstruck by her. Susanna Scaroni is incredible. I meet with her all the time. She works out in our gym and is an incredible long-distance athlete. And then Amanda McGrory. I don't see her quite as often, but is a very famous Illini alum.
Yep.
Then on the men's side, it's actually one alum and two current athletes. So Josh George is an alum.
Champagne's Alternative, WPGU 1071.
Sorry about that. Is an alum and is a very, very experienced athlete. But then you kind of have two less experienced athletes. Daniel Romachek has obviously won like the New York Marathon.
Yeah.
He is the new up and coming star in wheelchair track and field. But he made the team and is going to be what Team USA banks on for the near future.
Oh, yeah.
And then Isaiah Rigo, a good friend of mine, made the team.
Yeah.
He is a freshman here at U of I. Very, very talented athlete out of Washington State.
Oh, he's so fast.
And these classifications, hold on. What were the classifications? I know Tajay McFadden's a T54.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joshua George is going to be a T53 classification. Isaiah Rigo is a T52. And then Daniel Romachek is a T54. So on the men's side, Illini in three different classifications, mean none of them will be going up against each other.
Yeah.
They train with each other all the time. And then on the women's side, Tajay McFadden's a T54. Amanda McGrory's a T53. And Susanna Scaroni's a T54. So that means that Tatiana and Susanna are going to be up against each other. Other people on that team of note, Lacey Henderson from Denver, Colorado, Jalen Roberts from Kent, Washington, Carrie Morgan from St. Louis, Missouri, Deja Young from Mesquite, Texas, and Scout Bassett from Harbor Springs, Michigan, Brandon Clark from Los Angeles, California, Jessica James from Swisher, Iowa, and Famita Ayabuku from Boston, Massachusetts. The men's list is very, very extensive, but includes a lot of names that you might be familiar with. David Brown from St. Louis, Missouri. Richard Brown from Jackson, Mississippi. Who else? I mean, I know a lot of these names. Then as an amputee runner, T64 is Jared Wallace out of Athens, Georgia. I know him because he goes to the University of Georgia.
I actually did high school track with Desmond Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, amputee. We were in the same conference and we used to run with each other all the time. So congrats to him. That's my boy.
Wait, who?
Desmond.
Yeah, Desmond Jackson from Durham, North Carolina.
Durham, North
T63.
Carolina, representing adapted athletics. That's how you do it.
He made the team. Raymond Martin from Jersey City, New Jersey. New Jersey, there's a lot of names from New Jersey on here, and that's because that team has a very good feeder program and is kind of known as a hotbed for track athletes in the Paralympic movement. So, yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back for final thoughts of the week. Stay with us here on WPGU 1071 and the Rolling Illini.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the Rolling Illini. I am Joshua Joins, joined as always by Avery Schaefer and Miles Hill and Andrew Sclair with UPTV. Once again, if you're just joining us, we would like to remind you to come to the tournament next weekend, Friday, February 8th and Saturday, February 9th at the Arc. It's one of two wheelchair basketball tournaments. If you've never seen the sport before, you should go watch it. Actually, Avery, let's talk about that. What'd you say about the first time you saw the show? Or sorry, not the show, the sport of wheelchair basketball.
This was actually the first tournament I've literally sat down and watched, and I was impressed, as I was telling the guys off the air, with the level of physicality present in the game. Post play is essentially very equivalent. There's no shaming. There's no decrease in level of physical play for disabled athletes, and that was really eye-opening for me to see.
Yeah. So I think that's a great recruitment tool. Come out, watch it. That's not the word I was looking for at all. But come out and watch it because, like Avery said, you'll be surprised by what you will see. Also, I know it's getting warm and that this is a little late, but on our social media account, especially our Twitter, we posted a link. People with disabilities, and especially people who use wheelchairs as mobility devices, can get cold quicker. So when it gets as cold as it did last Wednesday, it's really imperative that they stay warm. So we put some tips on their page for that. Also today, Ryan Wilson, who was on the show last week when Miles and I were out, went and spoke for the Illinois Justice Project, EGP, or EJP, my bad. And so it's a program that helps inmates in the Danville prison get educated like college. I learned about it in one of my classes, so it was really cool that they had a panel today that both Ryan and Coach Wheeler were a part of.
That's interesting.
So that'll be interesting, and I'm excited to talk to Ryan about that. Ryan will be back on the show next week, so maybe he'll talk about that.
Let you know.
Yeah, so what do you guys got going on to end the show this week?
The only thing I got going on, or the most exciting thing anyway, is a Super Bowl party.
Ooh. Yeah, let's talk about that. So it's not really the purview of our show, but let's talk about that. Who do you got for the Super Bowl? Miles, you go first, and predict a score.
Oh, you want a score prediction? Okay, it's high scoring.
Which is going to be great because the people at UPTV will know that you're wrong.
Oh yeah, you get a nice little and you get to see my face being wrong. That's really good. If I had to guess the score, I can't bet against the Patriots. I gotta go. It'll be a good one. I say 35-31 Patriots.
Okay.
I'm gonna go same score, opposite direction.
Ooh.
35-31, Jared Goff and the battering Rams.
Yeah, for me, I'm really torn because I'm from Georgia. I've been a University of Georgia fan my entire life. So it's Todd Gurley versus Sony Michel, two UGA running backs. But
On the same team
yeah.
at one point, right?
Yeah, the University of Georgia. So I think I'm going to stick with the score that I was telling Gabe about earlier today. We're going to go 31-28 Rams.
Ooh.
So
I got some interesting ones.
Yeah.
I hope y'all are right.
Fun fact about Tom Brady, all of his Super Bowls have been decided by 8 points. So I'm sure you'll be watching it. We'll be watching it. All of them have been decided by 8 or less points.
8 or less.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
You said 8.
Sorry, I meant 8 or less.
I'm like,
that in there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our show for this week. Next week, Miles and I will be playing a game during this time, and you should be there too. But if not, you should tune in because we're going to have a show led by Avery and a couple of other people that are yet to be named. So tune in if you're not at the Arc, but also be at the Arc at 6 p.m. for our game against Alabama.
bring a portable radio if you can.
Yeah, bring a portable radio as Miles suggested during the break. So, as I said, for Miles, Avery, and Andrew, and for myself, this has been Rolling Illini.
Oh yeah.
Keep it rolling, and we'll see you next week.
Let's do it.